So yesterday, when we were going over kind of the run through here, I saw my awesome little intro there. And did any of you used to watch TV in the 90s, particularly NBC, where they had their little public service announcements with the rainbow that went over? I could not think of that when I saw that. That was pretty fantastic. All right. So Tim already asked, but I want to hear again, who on occasion maybe is a little moody at times? Yeah? Your husband? All right, that's fair. That's fair. Well then, maybe it's time to change your foodie. Now, we're going to talk a lot today about some different things. So when we're talking about kind of your mood and behavioral things, maybe some depression, maybe some anxiety that you're going through, do we want to look at the brain immediately? Not necessarily, guys. There's a lot of different things, different factors that can be involved and play a role. So one major thing we look at the Wellness Way all the time, we call this our Swiss watch principle, and this kind of shows us how the body really works. Now, are there doctors that just look at the body as one gear, spinning on its own, ignoring the rest of the body? You better say yes. What are they called? Specialists? Absolutely right. Now, would you agree with me, though, that they're absolutely necessary for some particular conditions and things going on? If you're going to die. Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it. But let's look at reality a little more here, folks. Not so much does the body just work as individual gears spinning on their own. Far more often, it's much more like this. We're all a complex series of gears working, interrelated in lots of different ways and different factors going on. Believe it or not, the food we eat and our digestion, our immune system, all these different things can play a major role in how we think, how we behave, how we act. So today is all about looking at making our healthy household. Maybe you're doing it to yourselves. Maybe the food you're eating, the foods that are in your cupboard, the foods that are in your pantry are actually causing a lot of these issues. So let's start right here. Well, what the heck does the belly have to do with the brain? Well, quite a few things. So let's look at the brain and how it communicates with the gut, with the GI tract down in here. Okay. One messenger, one nerve that goes all the way from the brain down to the entire gut. And actually, it goes down to every organ in your entire body. Do you think that one nerve has a pretty major role to play? Oh my goodness, you better believe it. It goes to every major internal organ. Just one big messenger pathway going down that way. But what if there was a different communication pathway going the other direction? So everyone would tell you that the brain is the master control center. The brain always tells the rest of the body what to do. However, when you actually look at the gut, the belly actually tells the brain what to do quite a bit. So 500 million neurons going from the belly up to the brain. Interesting. So a lot of times the gut is actually referred to as the second brain because the gut has way more effect on your behavior, your mood, and a lot of these other things. If you have certain anxiety, depressive type issues going on, let's start looking other places. Let's not just jump straight to the brain, okay? So I have a little experiment I want to try with you guys. We're gonna go to school. This is called Neurology 101. So I am the brain. I'm sure you could all tell. You guys are the rest of the body, or more in particular, you guys are the belly. You're the gut, okay? So I'm going to give you a command. You guys are all going to do it, okay? So this is my impulse control. I'm telling you what to do. Everyone stand up. Stand up, everyone. Good little peons. I love it. So I, as the brain, the master control center, have just commanded the body what to do. All right, you guys can sit down. Ooh, we have some cancer cells over here that aren't listening to the rest of the body. Now, we're gonna do the same exercise, but we're gonna introduce some different stimulus, some inhibitory stimulus. So, okay, guys, we're gonna do this one more time. I want everyone to stand up. Okay, some of you did, some of you didn't. All right, I'm just gonna stand here quiet. Okay, so now even though now the brain is telling you what to do, there's other inhibitory factors playing a role in your actual behavior. So the brain does not have the final say at all. So other factors have just told you guys to maybe not listen to the brain so much. Now we're gonna flip it. We're gonna go the other way around. I'm gonna have you guys, as the gut, talk to me. There's way more of you than there is me. So you guys are gonna tell me what to do. I'm gonna put up a picture, okay? And I want your response to control me. Tell me what to do. If you like what you see, roarious applause. Just freak out, cheer, hoot and holler, go nuts, and tell me that you like the stimulus and you want it to stay there. Or, if you do not like the stimulus, boo, hiss, holler, scream, tell me to remove the image and it'll go away faster. So you're gonna give me either an excitatory stimulus or an inhibitory stimulus, okay? So number one, go. Okay, we can leave that up a little longer. That's good, that's good. All right, that's long enough. You guys stopped, okay. Are we ready for number two? Okay, number two. No? All right, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of it. All right, now, we had a pretty major excitatory stimulus for the first one, pretty major inhibitory stimulus for the second. Now, let's introduce a little inflammation into the belly. So you started eating some bad food, and now we're starting to get mixed messages here. So the next image I'm gonna show you is a little more controversial. Some of you might be cheering for it, some of you might be booing, we'll see. So you tell me, I don't know what your reaction's gonna be because you guys are the second brain, you're telling me what to do. So here we go. Very mixed reaction, okay, good. All right, that's long enough, that's fair. Okay, I got one more for you, and this one, I don't know what your response is gonna be. It could be that we just had some super healthy Oldie's pizza and drank some healthy living kombucha and some organic La Java coffee, or it could be that we just ate a Whopper and fries. So you guys tell me what you think of the next image and tell me what to do about it. Okay. A little longer for this one. All right, that's plenty. Okay, so let's talk about something called neurotransmitters. That is how the body will actually communicate with the brain. So you guys as the belly, you guys as the gut, need to tell me what to do. And the way you're gonna do that is with chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters only come in two forms, as we already learned. They're either excitatory or inhibitory. So you're gonna either give an excitatory response, tell me to go, 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 or you're gonna inhibit the response, tell me to maybe back off a little bit. So you're going a little too fast, we don't like that. And what's exciting, guys, what's our motto at the Wellness Way? There it is. So for those of you that didn't hear, don't know, we don't guess, we test. Do you think there's maybe a way to determine what somebody's neurotransmitter levels are? Oh, you better believe it. Neurotransmitter testing. So all of these different neurotransmitters can actually be tested. It is a urine test. You get to pee in a cup, put in a little vial. But it gives us a window into the body to show us maybe where some things are a little bit off. Now, is this a brain test? Is this just telling what your brain is doing? Actually, it's not. No. It is testing what the communication pathway to the brain is. So now, if we see, like in this case, glutamate, if you can see that one, is pretty darn high. The brain is reacting perfectly normally based on the stimulus being provided by the body. So, for example, you may have a child that's bouncing off the walls, frantic, crazy, and, very overexcited, and you might label that kid as a problem child or ADHD, and you'd be like, that kid needs to be on medication. I know there's a few teachers here. I'm looking at one right now. You don't know any kids like that, do you? No, I'm sure not. So let's talk about neurotransmitters in a little more detail here. So there's one neurotransmitter that is very well known because it's the one that they medicate, called serotonin. Serotonin is very well known to affect your mood. It also actually affects your hunger drive, your satiation, if you're dissatisfied with food. If you do not need to eat any more food, your serotonin levels will determine that. Because serotonin, some say 95% of all your serotonin, not made in the brain, guys, made right here in the belly. Okay? So we need to look very seriously at what the gut is looking like, what your GI health looks like. Are you massively inflamed? What are you putting into your body in order to make this call as to how your serotonin levels are? So if you're super depressed, super anxious, we're not going to look at the brain. We need to look other places. We have other places to go. So if the food you're eating and is in your house is maybe not the greatest, or you're allergic to it and may not even know it, we need to figure it out. We need to figure out what's going on so we can make that call as to what needs to happen. Let's talk a little more about glutamate. So there's that little rascal right there. He's probably giving some teacher a major hard time every single day. But why might this be? Glutamate, where is it not made? Brain, absolutely not made in the brain. Some is, but the vast majority of it is actually produced by the immune system. So why do we keep looking at the belly all the time? Well, 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your belly, which, if you think about it, is a darn good thing, because what do we put into our body every single day? We're putting foreign objects, foreign substances into our body multiple times a day, and we need to make darn sure we have a good immune system right in here. Otherwise, we're going to have some problems. If your immune system is not very strong, very healthy inside your gut, you're going to have some major problems, because all that bacteria, all those viruses and mold and all those things on that food that we eat every day, it's going to actually infect us and start causing problems and cause major disease. So it's a darn good thing we have such a strong immune system there. It's a really darn good thing. However, in some cases it gets a little out of whack and it becomes too severe because all we're doing is introducing inflammatory foods into our body and causing some major problems. So this one, not so much a neurotransmitter, but who's heard of melatonin? What does it help you do? Sleep? Absolutely. The vast majority of your melatonin in your belly is right in your gut. Seriously, 80, 85% of your melatonin is in your gut. So does eating right before bed affect your sleep a little bit sometimes? Yeah, it can. It absolutely can. Lots of different things can play major roles in our health, and not necessarily just our brain. All right, so what can cause some of these problems? What can cause some of these things to go a little bit haywire? Well, you know the name of the game, guys. It's been said about 1,000 times today so far. Inflammation, yes. It is such a major deal that we hold a seminar every 2 weeks with this title. Who's been to our inflammation talk? Most of you? Good. If you've not been to your inflammation talk, what are you waiting for? Brett Favre Steakhouse every 2 weeks, we'll buy you dinner. Come. All right, inflammation. Very widely known, very widely accepted. This is like the one and only thing that all doctors agree on. It is actually the root cause of all chronic disease. Now, medically, they're starting to lean towards genetics on a few things, but no. Inflammation, by and large, far outweighing everything else, the root cause of chronic disease. Now, what happens if you really inflame your gut and it starts getting all angry and not really wanting to function properly because it's all inflamed? Well, it's going to slow your digestion. It's going to slow your digestion pretty hardcore. And that's going to alter that neurotransmitter production. You're not going to be able to produce as much serotonin as you wanted. You're going to start producing massive amounts of glutamate, because don't forget, glutamate is made by the immune system. The immune system, inflammation is part of the immune system. Okay, it's our warning system that tells the rest of our body that there's a problem. And it's going to really start to affect your mood, your behavior, and just every aspect of your life. So, you know the old saying, you are what you eat? It's very true. And if that holds true, Americans are wheat, corn, and soy. And dairy. Let's throw dairy in there too. And that's a problem. We've lost a lot of diversity in our food. We're going to talk about that a little more detail later. Now, who likes cartoons? Yeah? So growing up, I remembered watching something that was actually very impactful. I didn't really understand or realize its significance at the time, but it kind of stuck with me. And there's a lot of factors that played into why I am here today, why I became a Wellness Way doctor. I blame my mother for a lot of this too. She was a hippie in the 60s. She's right over there if you want to talk to her. But also, just little things like this really got me realizing what's in our food and why we're eating what we're eating.
Hey, let's get some ice cream.
How about this one? Pistachio, almond, fruit fudge, butterscotch delight.
Ingredients: zinc trisodium aspartate, sorbitol and bisulfate, oxide beta-carotene, lactic acid carabine. Grade A milk emulsified, maltodextrin alkylide, silicon dioxide, lots of sugar. Hey, all right! Calcified synthetic salt, artificial barley malt, glycerin and aspartate, folic acid. That tastes great! Monosodium glutamate, dehydrated calciumate, soybean oil, butter, fat, caramel center. I'll eat that. Hooray for sugar, cause we love it. Chocolate chips, we want more of it. Cakes and ice cream, want to shove it down our throats real fast. Here's a candy bar, you tried it? Hey, let's all see what's inside it. Gelatinized triglycerin, phosphate, soybean lecithin, deoxylite, trisilicon, dipped in chocolate. Bring it on! Citrus enzymes, BHT, powdered milk. Sounds good to me. Baking soda, carob gum, carbohydrates. Yummy, yum! Monosodium glutamate, zinc disodium alginate, whole grain flour, yeast, and fat. Time to eat it. I'll do that. We like sweets a lot, so give us all you got, and we'll stuff them in our bodies till they make our insides rot.
That was from the mid-90s. Do you think our food supply has gotten better since then? Did you guys catch in the second verse when he's got the whole chemist uniform on, he's got the beakers out, and he's mixing things? That's not a joke, guys. Chemists are making our food. This is what most food labels look like today. Who can pronounce every word on this list? Not many people. It's hard. It's hard. Lots and lots of stuff. And what's even crazier is that sugar appears on this ingredient list about 10 times. Now, they don't say sugar every time. They give it different names. But it really acts about the same. It really does. So, whose pantry looks like this? Good. I think Dr. Jason kind of beat this out of your head. So good. But whose pantry looks more like this? A lot of people. Yeah, oh, they're like, we have that, we have that. Everything in here is almost just as bad. Almost just as bad. Because here's the thing. When they come in that can, is that a good, whole food, raw food? It's all processed. It's all, they add chemicals, they add things. Yeah?
Okay, the beans on the top there, any beans that I do, I rinse them out with water.
Good. So she's saying that she rinses the beans out. And that's a better way of doing it for sure. Because, you know when you open up a can of something, there's that liquid in there? What is that? Is that water? I call it bean juice. I don't know what it actually is. So yeah. Oh, let's talk about the salt in there. So we have another doctor who runs our Mequon office. He talks to us about salt all the time. That, Morton's, salt with iodine. It's actually very processed, very refined. And there's 3 main chemicals that make up that salt. Are you guys familiar with the little MSDS chart, that little diamond thing that they put up in most workplaces, especially if you handle chemicals of any kind? So there's different categories for what chemicals do. And if you look up the MSDS of the chemical in that salt, it has a rating 2 for flammability. That's exciting. It has another chemical that will actually combine with your stomach acid to produce cyanide gas. I'm not kidding. Well, we have to have a third chemical in there because you know what? That cyanide gas could kill you. So let's put another chemical in there to bind that cyanide gas to make sure it doesn't actually kill you right then and there. I'm not kidding, guys. This stuff's crazy. And, oh, don't worry, it's FDA approved. And you know what? This stuff's good for you because they add iodine. How much iodine do you think they put in there? Not much. Not much. And you know what's even crazier? If you go and get like sea salt or like a pink Himalayan salt, good quality, excellent salt that's really healthy for you, they have to put a little label on there. Warning, this product does not contain iodine. Really? Like that's our biggest concern right now? Horrible. So like I said, guys, chemists are making our food. They're processing our food. This is a real problem because the stuff they're sticking in our food is horrible. Did you guys like this morning, did you guys see Dr. Zach's presentation where they were spraying everything and all the stuff that they inject into the food, or when they genetically modify the food? Horrible stuff. So if you want to look at the actual ingredients in here, all the nutrients from the food have been removed. So anything that would actually make the food healthy has been removed. In addition, but then, because people were actually getting malnourished on processed food when it first came out, so the government came down and said, okay guys, you have to now add vitamins and minerals into this food so people stop getting malnourished on your food. So they do that. And you know what they do? The food industry is so smart. They're so smart. The food industry is like, okay, great. We have to fortify it with these vitamins and minerals now. So now we're going to advertise that on the label, fortified with vitamins and minerals, because legally they have to, but they're going to turn that into a plus. Great. All right. Why do they do this? Wouldn't it be cheaper and easier just to take a food and put it on the shelf? Not so much, because they've gotten the processing down so well that when they process it, they get a much higher yield, a lot more of their product, because it now has a longer shelf life. Do you think they have our health in mind when they're making these plans? What are they thinking about? That's all they care about, guys. The almighty dollar. The almighty dollar. So let's look at a little more things that processed food does. Oh, my favorite is when they put health claims on their food now, on their junk. Now, low fat. And the health claims can be literally based on just one ingredient, and their own company is allowed to do the research that substantiates those health claims. Does anyone else see a problem with this? Not so good, not so good. So let's take a look at some of these. So here we have 25% less sodium, 0 grams of trans fat. Do you know what the trans fat thing is that they did recently? So everyone knows trans fat are bad, right? Well, even if you have no idea what a trans fat is, you know they're bad. So this is becoming very widely known, but they're legally allowed to round down. So if there's less than 0.5 grams per serving of trans fat in their product, they're allowed to legally say they have 0 grams of trans fat. So you know what they did? Did they change their product? They lowered the serving size. So now instead of 2 cups is a serving, now only 1 cup is a serving. And guess what? Now in 1 cup, there's only 0.49 grams of trans fat. So now we can legally put on our label that we have 0 grams of trans fat. Yeah, scary stuff, guys. Cereals are kind of the most notorious for this because, hey, moms, what do you want to do? You want your kids to be healthy, right? So let's feed them Cocoa Krispies because it helps build their immunity. Or how about Marshmallow Pebbles? It's an excellent source of vitamin D. Vitamin D is important, right? We want our kids to get a lot of vitamin D. Or how about Cocoa Puffs? Cocoa Puffs have been approved by the American Heart Association. That means it's good for you, right? No. And in addition, sometimes the health claims and health labels are legit. However, they don't always think it through very well. So here we start putting labels on things. Gluten-free. Everyone knows gluten-free is a thing you want, right? So here's some gluten-free green beans. All right. How about some gluten-free butter? Do you know what I want to do? Oh, man, this event has been amazing, but it's been a little taxing. I think I need to just soak in a nice bath when I get home. But I don't want to use any bubble bath. I want to use gluten-free bubble bath. I love the Spanish. Sans gluten. Gluten-free bubble bath. Hey, Spider-Man's on it. It's good. Okay, this next label, not a gluten-free label, but absolutely true. 100% true, no lying on this food label. No one can contest this at all. No one will contest this claim in any way. I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried, guys. It's true, boneless bananas. Now, what is gluten? Gluten-free is a big fad right now. Everyone's really excited to be gluten-free. What is it? What's gluten? I don't know. Gluten's a made-up word. Did you know that? It's a completely made-up word. What they're actually talking about are these things called prolamines. And various grains have different amounts of prolamines in them. Now, according to food labels, gluten means wheat. So if you ever see a food label that says gluten-free and wheat-free, they're being redundant. Same thing. Because all gluten-free means is that a person with celiac disease will not respond to it, will not negatively react to it. That's all it means. They ignore all these other types of prolamines, which if you want to go by the more broad term of gluten, that's what that is. Corn has almost as much prolamine inside that wheat, but it doesn't get as much heat as wheat does. And let's even look at wheat. I don't know if you guys can see that picture, but the one on the left, that's what wheat is today. The one on the right, that's what wheat is supposed to look like. Very different. It's actually a distant cousin of what classical wheat is called, and it's a dwarf variety. But what it does is it has way bigger kernels on it, and you get a higher yield because they've bred it to make sure they get this kind, and they've also genetically modified it. Do you guys remember wheat way back in the day? If there's any people who kind of remember wheat back in like the 60s, 50s, how tall was wheat? How tall were wheat stalks? They were real tall. They were like over your head. You get lost in the wheat fields. How tall is wheat today, guys? Yeah, it tops out at about 4, yeah. Because where's wheat planted? Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska. Very flat, very windy. So the wind comes through, and it was actually snapping off the wheat stalks, and they were losing a lot of their crop. So they genetically modified the wheat so it only grows to about 4 feet tall, so they get a higher yield. Good stuff, good stuff. Here's actually what they also do to wheat when they process it now. So let's go back to the processing. So here we have the actual whole grain, the bran, the middlings, the wheat germ, and the wheat germ oil. And we end with that little white powder stuff. That's what wheat has become today. Your label can even say whole wheat, whole grain, and it's still that processed white flour. All that other stuff is gone. You know what's even crazier? They'll then sell that stuff that they took out of your wheat to you. And you can go buy, I'm going to buy wheat germ and add it to my food because they took it out and now they're selling it back to you. It's crazy stuff. Commercial processing, they do it for obvious reasons. They want to make money. So that's what they want to do. The most highly processed foods in the world today, wheat, corn, soy. Here's a crazy process of all the steps that go through to actually make it happen. And it's all genetically modified. Soy, for example, there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about soy today. It does a lot of things. First of all, about 90% of soy is GMO. Secondly, it's very well known to downregulate the thyroid gland. Who here knows they have a thyroid problem? Are you going to go home and eat soy tomorrow? Thank you. Good. It's very highly inflammatory. And women, it mimics estrogen in the body. Who wants more estrogen in their body? Yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't have time to have a garden and do all these things. A lot of it, guys, is meal prep. Pick a day. You can prepare your meals for the entire week if you want to. Or there's lots of other things you can do too. So very healthy for your gut, very healthy for your belly. Fermented foods. Fermented foods. Who's had some of this amazing Purely Living kombucha today? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it fantastic? All right. Who here has a major, I'm talking severe gut issue. I'm talking a major infection or like an autoimmune disease or something horrid. Something horrid. I see a couple hands. All right. Well, we gotta figure this out somehow. So we haven't done it today. Usually at these events, we go by birthdays on who's going to get stuff, so I'm going to do it. So I just had a birthday a little bit ago, April 30th. Who is the closest birthday to April 30th?
Mine is April 30th.
You have April 30th? Well, look at you. Come on over. All right, an awesome bottle of Purely Living kombucha. Guys, fermented foods are the best thing in the world for gut health. I'm talking kimchi. I'm talking sauerkraut. They smell great. But kombucha's fantastic. Let's look at milk for a minute. In ancient cultures, they had milk, right? They did. They really did. Way before refrigerators existed. Okay, take your milk jug, leave it on your counter for 1 hour. What happens to that milk? Oh, it goes bad real fast. So how in ancient cultures before refrigeration did they have milk? What's that? That's true, but what happened when they didn't pasteurize it? It fermented. Exactly right. So they fermented that dairy and it was fine. Also, the best way to do it is through smoothies. Who likes making smoothies? All right, so I'm running low on time here, so we got to do this quick. So I'm going to do a little Q&A here, and if you get the answer right, you're coming up on stage. So it's multiple choice. Look, you have the ingredient list right in front of you. What food, we talked about serotonin, is the highest serotonin-containing food pretty much in the world? Shout it out. Oh, I shouldn't have said shout it out because I heard about 15 cacaos. I think you were the first cacao I saw right there. Come on over. All right, excellent. Oh, I only actually need 4. Okay. Come on up on stage. You're going to hang out here for a while. You get a bag of raw cacao. Not chocolate, like Hershey chocolate. That stuff's bad news. They heat that to very high temperatures, and all the health benefits of the raw cacao gone.
Good avocado pudding.
Yes, really good avocado pudding. Thank you. Women, if anyone who has maybe some hormonal imbalance? Raise your hand. All right, now here's how I'm gonna do it this time. Only the people whose hands are up. I'm gonna hide this here so you don't know what I'm holding. What up on the list, and I'm gonna have you stand. The first person I see stand is gonna get it. Oh boy. What on the list, she got it, she preempted me, is the best for helping balance female hormones? What's your answer? You shouldn't jump up then. Okay, so I'm going to go to you. Hemp is not the right answer. Oh, I heard a lot of them, but we're going to go for only people standing. Maca. Maca. This is really interesting too. You get to come up on stage too. If you want to pull up a chair from back there, you can. Otherwise, if you want to stand. Maca is predominantly made in South America. China actually just went to Chile, and they actually have a monopoly on their maca now. So they're raking it in because they know how awesome maca is. All right. Of the foods on the list, now there's other answers for what the highest containing one is, but of the foods on the list, who has heard of tryptophan? A lot of people. Which food on the list has the most tryptophan in it? Not hemp. I think I heard, who is that? Yes, come on up. Mucuna matata. Right here, this stuff. You mix it with water, it's great stuff. Lots of great tryptophan. It helps you sleep, it helps build that melatonin, lots of good stuff. Also, tryptophan is actually a precursor for serotonin as well. All right, well, one more. We have one more. And you all know what I have behind my back, so it's a little unfair. So, who wants it the most? Prove to me you want it the most. Oh, we had someone jump up. Come on up. Hemp hearts. What the heck are hemp hearts? Go sit down. No, you need to learn. Okay, one of the best protein sources in the world, guys. Hemp hearts are amazing. Amazing protein source. You guys also all get a shirt.
I got one already. So you can
Oh, good. You already got one too. Did you get a shirt yet?
No.
All right. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Who wants a shirt? Shirts are not aerodynamic. Dr. Jason tied in a knot earlier. All right, we're gonna go underhanded this time. Yeah. Did you guys in the back get a whole lot of stuff yet today? Here's what I'm going to do. Ooh, I know what I'm going to do because I have something to do on stage. I'm going to give this shirt to Dr. Jeff because he's going to look awesome in it. No, he's going to pick who gets it. The first person to prove to him you deserve that shirt gets it. So now what we're doing is we're going to make this, we call it the Love Monkey Smoothie. That should be enough. All right, ladies, you guys stayed up here because you get to try it. And I did it without making too much of a mess. That's exciting. So not only is this smoothie awesome and super healthy for you, but it tastes really good. So that's the ingredient list. Make sure you're not allergic to anything on that list. There's a lot of nuts in there. I know that's a pretty common allergy. Well, I mean even anaphylactically, like that's can be a big deal. You don't know yet? That's fair.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, some great stuff in there. One more. Here you are. All right, I also do have a ton left, so we're going to figure out a way to give some of this out. So look for it behind the little counters up there, and I'll go hunt down some cups, and we'll make sure someone gets some if you want to try it. That's all for me, guys. Thank you so much. You've been wonderful.